Alan stared at his laptop screen as if waiting for clarity to pour out of it. 37. Marketing strategist, laid off 4 months ago. And now, like a ship unmoored, he drifted from one half-baked idea to another. Design, coaching, something with storytelling, nothing stuck. And worst of all, a voice inside him kept whispering, "You're not really good at any of this." But here's the truth that Alan hadn't yet learned. It wasn't the market, or his resume, or even his lack of a clear passion. It was the architecture of his own beliefs that was keeping him stuck. We all carry beliefs about ourselves, often installed long before we were conscious enough to challenge them. These are what psychologists call core beliefs, internalized rules about who we are and what we're capable of. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, teaches us that these core beliefs act like filters. We don't just see the world through them, we interpret it through them. For Alan, the belief was simple, but brutal. I need to have it all figured out to be valuable. So every time he considered trying something new, the uncertainty triggered not curiosity, but paralysis. This is called a negative self-schema, a mental framework that organizes information in a way that confirms our worst assumptions about ourselves. Alan would apply for a job, then get anxious before the interview and withdraw. Or he'd sketch out a freelance idea, then talk himself out of it within a day. Each small retreat reinforced the belief that he wasn't capable, and each reinforcement made the next attempt harder. This is what psychologists refer to as a self-reinforcing loop. The belief causes behavior that produces results, which then validate the belief. In Alan's case, doubt leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to stagnation. Stagnation confirms doubt. It's not just a career block, it's a cognitive echo chamber. There's a cultural myth that clarity comes like lightning, that one day, in the shower or on a hike, your life's calling will announce itself. But in reality, clarity is a consequence, not a cause. Clarity follows engagement. What Alan needed wasn't more introspection, it was experimentation. Small steps, test and learn cycles, what psychologists call behavioral activation, engaging in activities despite the presence of self-doubt, to rewire the connection between action and belief. Because here's the irony. Waiting for confidence before acting is like waiting to feel warm before lighting the fire. To break a belief, you have to disprove it with action. CBT techniques often involve something called belief testing, deliberately designing small, low-risk experiments that challenge the internal narrative. Alan began sending weekly voice notes to his old clients, just sharing thoughts about branding, not selling anything, just exploring. One note led to a conversation. That conversation led to a small paid project. That project gave him a jolt of confidence, not because it proved he was amazing, but because it proved he could act without knowing everything first. Each step, tiny and unimpressive on the outside, was monumental on the inside. He was disassembling the architecture of his doubt, brick by brick. The most powerful shift in Alan's journey wasn't finding a job. It was realizing that uncertainty isn't a personal failing. It's the default condition of creativity and transition. Instead of asking, "What should I be doing with my life?" Alan began asking, "What am I curious enough about to try this week?" This reframe, from destination to direction, from identity to action, unlocked momentum. If you're in Alan's shoes right now, remember this. You don't need a perfect map. You need a compass. The map says, "Here is the path." The compass says, Here is the direction. Breaking free from negative self-beliefs isn't about fixing yourself. It's about loosening your grip on a story that was never true to begin with. Try something small. Let that act become evidence. Let that evidence begin to crack the loop. Clarity isn't a lightning bolt. It's a candle, and you light it by moving